What is up, guys? So today I'm changing the spark plugs on this thing. One interesting thing, so what are these? Are these auto lights? Looks like they had auto lights in there, except for one. They had one motorcraft in the, this would be the passenger side rear. Some of these do look rather choice. So let's see, we got some variance going on here. It's a normal carbon on this one, but I mean, I don't know, that reddish brown is actually pretty normal too. All these unthreaded very easily without any weird efforts to get out like I've heard that some people have with Tritons. So, man, I don't like those little tiny electrodes that they use on there. Let's see if I get this thing to focus. I mean, those electrodes are tiny. I don't know if I checked the gap on that one. I know these were at least 50, but, you know, I just got a new one and they're pre-gapped and it's also 50 thousandths. But you'll notice I went with a lot fatter surface. See, I don't want the hot tips. They sell these little tiny pointy tips because their thinking is, well, it's going to be hot and it's going to keep them from fouling as bad. Well, when you add forced induction, which I plan to do to this car, as long as this engine turns out to be a good engine, you don't want hot spots because then you're going to get, you know, a source for pre-detonation when you're under higher loads. So I went with the auto light. I don't know if this is the one everybody calls for. I just looked down the list that the guy had at AutoZone and plus the price, you know, $349. Some of the other ones are like $6-7 each. But I do like that that's got a nice fatter electrode to it. So like more like a conventional spark plug. So I think that's definitely a better recipe than going back with these. So these were definitely look like they're ripe to be replaced. But I don't see, you know, I mean, I've seen some variances here. You don't even know if somebody changed out some and not all of them. It's just, and it's just weird that there's this one motorcraft one in there. That was just kind of odd. And it looks like the new Autolite I got is a lot like that motorcraft one right there. Pretty similar designs. If yeah, probably could be just a relabeled, you know, plug right there. Interesting. It was missing just a little bit the last time I drove it, and then it would clear up when it got into the higher RPMs. So those plugs might have been getting pretty ripe. Hopefully all these boot and connectors are good. Some of them tried to pop apart on me. So let's see. I should check for, let me see what kind of moisture was down in, if there was in any of these. Over here is the side that has the nearest to the coolant. This coolant line was squirting everywhere when I first got this thing. And it could have already loaded it up down in there, and who knows. Ooh, a little oil down in that one. I don't think there's anything else. What the hell are the kids playing on the TV there? There's one. Interesting. Okay. So another difference between this 2002 and the 96 I had previously with the turbo on is that this one has coil on plug. That's actually something I want. I had the waste spark system on the other one, which had the two dual coil packs sitting on the front, where it actually sparks through two cylinders at the same time, one under for ignition and the other one on an exhaust stroke, I guess, or something like that, just where it didn't matter. But the bad thing is you have to jump the gap on two spark plugs, plus it's harder to get, you know, jump the gap on the one with all the compression. So don't like that. This should be a better system, being that it's a direct coil on plug here. Hopefully get a little better spark when it comes to being under forced induction. So anyway, I mean, this engine, I mean, this car's been used and abused. I mean, there's just like cuts and everything. And we saw this when my brother-in-law had this car that I got it from, but the miles was only like 104,000 on it, but I think they're like 104 pretty brutal miles. Okay, you got the new spark plugs in there, and it seemed to run okay when I just took it around the block. Got it warmed up, you know, until the electric fan was running there a second ago, but it definitely has a pretty harsh tick. And you can kind of hear it coming from the valley section, I believe, not really one side or the other. So I think it's got a slight slap coming from like a wrist pin, where it's actually got a little bit of play in one of those rod bearings. It's not horrible, but if you give it a little throttle and hold it, it's there. And I could feel it hammer through the engine into my hand. That's something you could probably get away with driving for a while, but not with a turbo on it. So I don't know. I might be pulling this engine to do an inspection on the bottom end.